All right, so we have classified different types of polynomials. So the next thing we're going to do is go over how to add and subtract polynomials. Now, it's very similar to what you should have done earlier this year when you were working with exponents, when you were doing the different exponent rules. And think back to when you did the laws of exponents, when you did the rules in chapter 2 on exponents. You learned how to multiply and divide with the exponents. You learned how to do an exponent raised to another exponent. You should learn how to deal with negative exponents. So the one thing you didn't do was add and subtract with exponents. So now that's where that comes in now, because that was a 9th grade topic, adding and subtracting polynomials. So things to remember. The terms must be alike, so you got to have like terms to combine them, which means they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. You should already know that. Can't combine things if they don't have the same variable. Can't combine an x with the a. Can't combine a to the first power with an a to the second power. You can't add them and combine them. When you're adding and subtracting, you add or subtract the coefficient, the number in the front. The variable doesn't change, the exponents do not change. All right, so that's not anything new. That's stuff you should already know. So an example of an easy one would be, okay, you've got 3x squared plus 4x plus 6x squared plus x. So you should already be familiar with this. You find the like terms, you add them or you subtract them. So like terms, x to the second power matches with x to the second power. 4x matches with x. They have to have the same exponent, so they match. So what do? Add or subtract the coefficient, the number in the front. So if you've got 3x squared and 6x squared, add them together because it's adding. 6 plus 3 gives you 9x squared. 4x and x combine. 4, there's no number in front of the x, so it's a 1. 4 plus 1 give you 5x. All right, so these are the most basic examples of this. You have a polynomial, and let's review polynomials real quick from classifying. If you looked at this, what type of polynomial would this be? It's got 4 terms, so you would just say it's a polynomial. It's not a monomial, binomial, trinomial. If you said, what's the degree? Well, let's see. This has a degree of 2, 1, 2, 1. So what's the biggest one? 2. So the degree is 2. All right. So, and then what's the leading coefficient? If you look down here, you would combine them. You would get this, and then you would look and say, okay, what's the leading coefficient? X squared, so 9. All right. So that goes back to what you learned the last few days. All right. Let's look at another example. Another easy one. All right. So combine like terms. 4x and minus 8x go together. Negative 2y and negative 5y go together. So when you combine them, 4x minus 8x is negative 4x, a negative 2y and a negative 5y and a minus 5y. So if you have minus 2y and minus 5y, that's negative 7y. So minus 7y. All right. Now, getting into the examples, that's more like what you're going to be doing. All right. These are very simple ones. So the ones you're going to do are going to look more like this, where you're going to have either a binomial plus or minus another binomial, or it could be a binomial plus or minus a trinomial. So then what you're going to have to do first is deal with either the addition sign or the subtraction sign in the middle. All right, because our goal is we want to combine like terms, so we have to get rid of the parentheses. So we've got to distribute the sign. All right, whatever this sign is out here, we have to distribute it. All right, so basically what you're doing, it's kind of like just imagining this is a positive 1 out here and multiplying it in. All right, so all you're doing is combining the sign. So 3x minus 2, that would come down just like normal. You'd leave that the same. Then a positive and a positive make a what? A positive. A positive and a positive make a positive. All right, so that's all you did. Bring down, the one in the front stays the same, so bring down 3x minus 2. A positive and a positive makes a positive 4x. A positive and a positive makes a plus 1. And then you combine like terms, 7x minus 1. All right, well, what do you do if it's a subtraction sign in the middle? So now we have a trinomial minus a binomial. All right, so same thing. We have to distribute the sign. So the front one stays the same, 5m minus 2n squared plus 4. Now distribute the sign, a negative and a positive m, so a negative and a positive make a negative, so it's minus m. A negative and a negative make a positive, so now it's plus 6. All right, so you just take the sign and distribute it. So then combine like terms. 5m minus m is 4m. Negative 2n squared doesn't match with anything, so it stays the same. And then 4 plus 6 is 10. All right. Now, normally you would then write it in standard form. So you would need to say, okay, the degree is 1, the degree is 2 if you have a whole number. So when you're going to do this, you look at it. The degree is 1, degree is 2. A whole number has a degree of 0. So then put them in order. So your answer in standard form would be negative 2n squared plus 4m plus 10. All right, so adding and subtracting, pretty easy. That's all it is. That's all you're doing. Most of your problems are going to look like either this one or this one. If it's a positive in the middle, then these signs stay the same. You just get rid of the parentheses and rewrite it. If it's a negative in the middle, then when you distribute, these signs are going to switch. So make sure you do that, because most of the time, if students going to miss these problems, it's probably going to be because when they looked at this, they forgot to distribute that sign and they just rewrote it. So be careful of that. Or a lot of students will look at this and go, okay, a negative and a positive is a negative minus m, and then they'll just write this the same way, minus 6. So make sure you do it to both of them. All right, but other than that, that's it for this topic. So if you have any questions, like always, come to the Google Meet or email me and let me know.